Public hearing, 2016 school tax levy for fiscal year 17. As provided by state statute and duly published, a public hearing will be held at 5:30 p.m., at which time citizens may be heard on the property tax rates proposed to be set by the Rolla School District 31, a political subdivision. The tax rates will be set to produce the revenues which the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2016 show to be required from the property tax. So, is up.
Good evening. As required by state statute, political subdivisions must provide an opportunity for citizens to have a tax rate hearing. We receive information from all of the counties for which our district resides, and that is Phelps County, Marys County, and Dent County. Primarily, our assessed valuation is from Phelps County. We have various statutes and constitutional directives that dictate how the tax rate calculation will be made. We are required to file our tax rate information to the state auditor's office and to the county clerks by September 1st on an annual basis. The state of Missouri in 1982 passed Proposition C. It was a statewide 1-cent sales tax to be dedicated to education. For those districts who do not have a Prop C waiver, we are required to roll back our property tax by half of the revenue that is generated from Prop C. The Rolla School District does not have a Prop C waiver. We are one of 31 school districts in the state that does not have a full or partial or a full Prop C waiver. The calculation for Proposition C rollback, you calculate, you determine what your Proposition C revenue is. You determine half of that, divide that by your assessed valuation, and therefore our rollback requirement for the current tax year will be 45.3 cents. And that is an increase from the prior year because our revenue from Proposition C increased. This particular slide indicates our assessed valuation by category: real estate, personal property, and railroad and utility. As you will see, our total assessed valuation did increase over the prior year. This slide indicates what the historical value of our assessed valuation has been for the district. We also, as part of the calculation for our tax rate, we compare our base assessed valuation with the prior year. If you look at the base assessed valuation, so you take out all of the new construction and improvements, our base assessed valuation actually decreased by $1.4 million. This is a 0.36% decrease. The district did realize new construction increase of $2.8 million and personal property increased by $2.7 million. As part of the tax rate calculation, the Hancock Amendment requires that the assessed valuation due to reassessment does not impact, or we cannot gain revenue from reassessment. Therefore, the district is required to roll back your property tax to make that neutral for any reassessment valuation change. As you look at the calculation, we are required to recalculate our tax rate ceiling annually. You look at what the actual value change was, compare that to the consumer price index, and you determine what is your maximum revenue growth that is allowed. Because we actually had a base decrease in our assessed valuation, we are not permitted to grow in our revenue for our base. And pages 10 and 11 of your packet contain the tax rate calculation when it compares current tax year to prior tax year. This is showing the percentage decrease of existing property. And as I had mentioned, we saw less than a 0.5% decrease over the prior year, $1.4 million. Okay, now let's review the difference between appraised value and assessed value. Appraised value is similar to market value. Assessed value is a percentage of your appraised value. For a residence, the assessed value is 19% of the appraised value. So let's take a look at a calculation. If a home is appraised at $150,000, and this is a residence, so you take that times the 19% to get the assessed value. That would be $28,500. You multiply that by the proposed tax rate, divide that by 100 to determine how much school tax is owed. So in this particular example, we're showing $973 owed in school tax. Again, let's take a look at our unadjusted levy for the operating fund. The calculation determined that our unadjusted levy would be $3.6. After you roll back for Proposition C, the adjusted operating levy is $3.16. Debt service, as we performed the calculation for our debt service, it was determined that we could levy 42.73 cents. However, after analyzing the need for our debt service, we can meet all of our obligations for debt service by levying 25 cents. So therefore, the recommendation will be for a voluntary rollback of 17.73 cents in the debt service levy. This particular slide shows the history of the tax levy. So as you can see, the changes over the years since 2003 of our tax levy. As you recall, in 2015, the voters did approve a 25-cent levy increase to be rolled in over 3 years. Tax year 2015 and 16 include a 10-cent increase. This particular slide just shows a graph of the previous slide of what the tax levy has done for our school district. We also like to compare how does our tax levy compare to other school districts. We use the districts in the Camdenton Salary Survey, and then we also include local school districts in Phelps County as well. As you can see, Rolla's levy is 23 out of this list of, I believe there's 27 on the list. And even though we had a 10-cent increase in the current year, in 2000, for fiscal year 16, we still remained at 23 because some other schools changed. I will add that the information that I'm showing on this slide are the tax rates that were levied in last fiscal year. All of the districts have not had their tax levy hearing, so therefore we don't have updated information yet. So this is information from last year. So even with the change that we will have for the current year, we will be 22 on the list if no one else changed. But we do know there are other people who are changing. So it is recommended that the tax levy shown below be adopted for the fiscal year 17 school year. The operating levy, 3.1654. The debt service, 25 cents, for a total levy of $3.4154. And I will take any questions that you may have had.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Vicki. We'll now open the public hearing for public comments. If you have any comments to make, please state your name and address for the record, and persons wishing to comment will be granted 5 minutes to make their statement. Does anybody wish to speak to the board on the tax levy? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion from the board? Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the tax levy as presented.
I'll second that.
How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.